India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is in Russia for a 4-day visit. He has arrived in Moscow and is set to attend a meeting of foreign ministers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organisation. Now, India, Pakistan, China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan are part of the SCO grouping. Iran is an observer member. On the sidelines of the SCO meet, Jaishankar is expected to hold a bilateral meeting with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. The meeting will be held amidst ongoing border tensions between India and China. Now, Russia earlier reacted to the escalating tensions along the line of actual control. The deputy chief of the mission of the Russian embassy, Roman Babushkin, said that Russia is promoting a diplomatic solution. Now, tensions escalated yet again between India and China. China claimed that India fired warning shots along the LAC. The Indian Army, on the other hand, has called out China's lies, demanding that this is incorrect and denying these reports. Now, Indian Army has revealed that the Chinese troops had attempted to cross the LAC and fired shots into the air in an effort to intimidate the soldiers. However, as the Indian troops stood firm, the PLA soldiers had to turn back. Now, Jaishankar made a stopover in Iran before the Moscow visit. He met Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif in Tehran. He tweeted, and I quote, "We discussed strengthening our bilateral cooperation and reviewed the regional developments." Now, this was the second time any top Indian minister visited Iran within a week. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh visited Iran over the weekend. Jaishankar's Moscow visit comes days after India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh visited the Russian capital. He attended the meeting of defense ministers of the 8-nation SCO. And on Friday, Rajnath Singh held a meeting with his Chinese counterpart. It was held on the sidelines of the meeting of the defense ministers. The primary focus of this meeting was on security-related issues. Now, for more on this story, we are being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal. Good evening to you, Siddhant. Deputy Chief of Mission of Russian Embassy, Roman Babushkin, has said that Russia is promoting a diplomatic solution to these tensions.
Well, yes, Alison, and Russia is also the host of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the BRICS this year, and that is why these meetings are taking place in Moscow. Crucial meetings. In fact, the Indian Foreign Minister and the Chinese Foreign Minister are expected to meet in Moscow tomorrow evening, and this will be the first high-level in-person meeting between the two foreign ministers. Of course, this is coming amidst growing tension between the two countries. We have seen on Monday how the Chinese fired on the Indian side. We have seen the visuals as well, and the situation on the ground remain tense, remain precarious. Both sides are, of course, not having in-person conversation, the ground commanders not having in-person conversation, but through hotline there are still talks going on. But by and large, this is a very delicate situation on the ground, perhaps the worst in almost 40 years, and Moscow's meeting can be a major icebreaker. We know that last week saw the defense ministers of two countries meeting, but the readout by both the countries was primarily what they have been saying for almost 4 months. Because remember, the tensions have been there for almost 4 months after the Chinese side tried to disturb the patrolling pattern of the Indian side. And since then, we saw the Galwan incident in June, in which India lost 20 of its soldiers. The Chinese also suffered casualties, but did not come up with any numbers. Then, of course, the 29th, 30th and 31st August incident when the Chinese tried to occupy the southern bank of the Pangong Lake. And now, just a few days ago, on 7th of this month, we saw again the Chinese trying to provoke the Indian side. But by and large, diplomacy is something that the Indian side is banking upon. We know that the Indian side has been talking about how only through negotiation and talks situation can diffuse. And the overall view here in Delhi by the policymakers is the situation is serious. That is what the foreign minister said on Monday. And of course, the foreign secretary last week called it challenging. The Indian army chief was in Leh. So multiple developments happening, conversations happening diplomatically through military ways as well, but by and large the situation remained tense on the ground at the line of actual control.
Siddhant, right, just quickly before I let you go, you did touch on the defense ministers' meet on the sidelines of the SCO meet. Now we have the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar expected to hold a bilateral with his Chinese counterpart. What can we expect from this?
Well, the big expectation is that it will bring some kind of thaw or an icebreaker. Largely, sources even told me that it could be the miracle of Moscow that can help ease out the tensions. But are the Chinese willing to back off? Because it is largely a China-led aggression, not only with India, with the rest of its neighbors. It is with Japan, Taiwan, a whole host of countries. And perhaps the Chinese have found an opportunity amidst the COVID crisis to be aggressive with its neighborhood, with its neighboring countries. So largely it is dependent on what the president of China, Xi Jinping, wants, because he seems to have found a reason amidst the COVID to be more aggressive with countries, and of course with India. Of course, the mood here on the ground, here in India, in Delhi, against the Chinese is very, very anti, perhaps surpassing the Pakistanis as well. So by and large, perhaps for a small tactical gain, the Chinese have lost India for a pretty long time.
Sudan, thank you as always for that report.